afternoon. I'm Bev Judayi, and I'm from the Wild Rivers Film Festival. We're here to welcome you this afternoon to the Film Festival Radio, the official podcast of the Wild Rivers Film Festival on KCIW 100.7 FM. Today, I'd like to give a sponsor shout-out before we get started and thank the Wild Rivers Film Festival presenting sponsor for 2024, KDRV Newswatch 12 out of Medford, Oregon. Thank you so much for making this summer's festival a success. This year, the Wild Rivers Film Festival was brought to you in part by the Tallahwaddee Nation, Oregon Community Foundation, the Ford Family Foundation, Travel Curry Coast, the Roundhouse Foundation, and the City of Brookings. If you're interested in sponsoring the Wild Rivers Film Festival and our mission to celebrate indie cinema on the Wild Rivers Coast, you can learn more on our website, wildriversfilmfestival.com. We're here at the festival, and we have the pleasure of interviewing MJ Alhabeeb Jr., and he's going to talk to us about the thriller called Plight. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I know that this is a thriller, but I don't know a whole lot else about your film. Can you tell us a little bit about Plight?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very blessed to actually be joined by our lead actor, Matthew Plum. He's here with us today. Matthew, if you want to say hello.
Hello there.
And Heather Webb, my fearless fellow producer, who has these two we have no film without these two. So
fantastic. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
So Plight, it's really a story about family, how far people are willing to go to protect their families, to honor their families. They find, a lot of the characters find themselves in moral quandaries where they're faced with decisions that no one wants to face, predicaments and things that happen to them. The film starts off with a tragedy, and from there you really find out, what you're made of, and how you best respond to things. And so it's thrilling. It'll hopefully keep you at the edge of your seat. And it's something that we've all been very proud of.
Well, it sounds like a great film. I've heard other really good things about it. How is it that you decided on this film? How did it come to you? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, it's a great question. I love telling stories and telling stories about real people. This is a fictitious narrative, but I'd like to think that the characters within the film are people that hopefully audiences can identify with, even if you don't understand, even if you don't agree with every decision they may make. Understanding motivations is a big thing. And so I wanted to tell the story about these people in a situation, and also something that can be cinematically displayed. I feel like art is so multifaceted, and film is really the conglomerate of all of the arts. You have the visual arts, you have theater arts, the music, color, and so many different ways to tell a story narratively. And so I've always been passionate about filmmaking, and this story kind of came about, writing it and rejuvenating it and constantly massaging the story into a place where it fit, and hopefully audiences can identify with it.
How long did it take you to film this?
So another great question. We were actually all set and ready to enter pre-production in March 2020, and then of course the world was ending. So we had to hit pause, put our ears to the ground, and really find a safe path forward. When we actually entered production, we entered production in November 2020. We shot 17 days. Then we were in post-production for about a year. And the journey, we had pickup shoots, 2 days of pickup shoots. And it was a blast. Getting to set is always the hardest part, and you get to set. And if you're prepared, I'm not going to say things run smooth. Every filmmaker knows things never run smooth. But the more prepared you are, the more equipped you are to deal with all the hurdles that come your way.
And you've got your support team here with you.
Yes.
So they can vouch.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, for sure. It definitely takes a team. I mean, and that's what I love personally about filmmaking. It's just it's so collaborative, and it takes, so many people coming together to bring this vision to life. So it was definitely a team effort. And we were shooting in a small town in Kansas, and we ended up kind of quarantining in this small town. This is Stay Safe. And it really felt more like a family, spending that much time with these people, 12-hour days, and, kind of felt like a summer camp together.
Right.
So it was a memorable experience for sure, in a positive way.
So you stayed in Kansas?
We did. We stayed
Wow.
in Kansas, in this very small town called St. Francis, and kind of just had the community just really support us and offered up a lot of our locations that we filmed at. So if we didn't have the support of that town, this film would not have taken place at all. So the town was so supportive and just really came together to help us get this film done.
That's fantastic. It's amazing what people can do and will do, to pull the group together for the good of them all.
Yeah.
Well, it grew out of necessity as well.
Yeah.
And because of that, it kind of, I don't know, everything fell into place. I think most of us will vouch. I don't think we've ever had a filming experience like that, and I don't know if we will again, to be all in that one little space. And it was like having a giant backlot just for us to run around and play and get everything done, which was great.
What was the wildest thing that you dealt with during that time? Because there had to be some crazy things going on.
Well, aside from the constant fear of waking up and hearing that we had a COVID positive, so I'll take that away. We actually we were fairly good with weather. We had one day where it was very, very cold, and so all of our batteries froze.
Oh, no.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, follow focus wouldn't work. And of course, it was when we were shooting a pivotal scene, an action scene at night. It was freezing. One of our actors had hand warmers that slipped under his shoes, and then he had burns. And then we had to change up the shots where we had no moving shots, really. So on the fly, my cinematographer and I, we got together and we thought, okay, how can we do this? Our assistant director, we were all kind of pulling together to say, okay, well, we can lock camera here. We know it's in focus. And we just had to, on the fly, change up some of the shots, which is tough with an action scene, because you want to feel more immersive. And I had this whole, visual, motion motif that I wanted to stick to. And, the director side of your brain has to shut off in those moments, and the producer has to kick in. And obviously, my producer to my right, she kicked in, literally kicked in and said, okay, well, are we going to do this? Or how are we, and got us moving along. And I think that was challenging from a creative standpoint, because the logistical side, I think we knew what we had to do. But you're constantly forced in indie filmmaking and really in life to, to adopt a mentality that, well, I'm not compromising. And I like to think we're adapting. If you adapt to the realities, you can embrace it and make it the best it can be. And so I think it was challenging, but, in the editing room, my editor and I, we sat there and we pieced it together. And I think no one has came and told us, with that scene, we wish you did this and this and that. And so I think it worked out. But at the time, it was challenging. We didn't know if we would, be able to generate. We had everything you needed for that, except for, being in a remote area in the middle of the night. But we pulled through.
That's fantastic. And we talked a little bit. Two of you are from California or L.A., so I would imagine that you didn't have a lot of experience between you with dealing with freezing weather.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Well, so I moved to California, but I grew up in Massachusetts.
So you do know what snow is.
I knew I was getting, I never wanted to see snow again, and then moved to LA and found myself in Denver for what was supposed to be 3 years, then COVID, and 4 years, 5 years. Then we said, well, we're going to shoot the movie. So it ended up being about 5 years. And Matthew, he grew up in England, so he knew the cold weather. We both knew the gloomy weather.
Oregon feels very familiar to me.
I'll bet it does.
And so we knew it, but we were, I guess, living in LA, you try to forget it.
Sounds great. So what other festivals have you participated in so far?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate, very blessed. We had our world premiere at Julian Dubuque International in Dubuque, Iowa. We played at Cineworld down in Sarasota.
Impressive.
It was, both of those festivals were terrific. Borrego Springs was amazing. And then we were at Bloomington, Indiana, at Bloomington International, Pittsburgh Independent, and then we're here at Wild Rivers. We also had the chance to screen at the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Los Angeles last fall. And then we have the North Hollywood Cinefest coming up next month.
Exciting.
And then we're capping off the Plight run with an amazing festival in Florida. I don't know if I can announce it yet, but it's in a town. It starts with or and ends with dough. And you guys can figure it out.
Dan Springen is an artistic creative director for us.
Yes.
And he has been just a blessing for us to get this festival running and up off the ground. So
Yes, he's the reason we're here. We met Dan at Cineworld in Sarasota, and he was fantastic. What a wonderful creative and festival director. And we had such a wonderful experience there, and he's the one that, introduced us to the Wild Rivers Film Festival. We met Amanda there, who's a large part of this festival as well. Love her. And so that's why we're here, and we're so thankful. You make those connections, and you never know where you're going to end up. And here we are in Brookings, Oregon, and we're so thankful for it.
I think that's great. We're lucky, too, that you're here and pleased that you're here. So have you done other work, or is this a first for you?
So this is my directorial debut. I've produced a number of other things. Produced a film called Infrared Dreams with Heather. Actually, she was leading the charge on Infrared Dreams. And Matthew was in Infrared Dreams.
Oh.
And then so that film is out. You can find it out on Tubi, Amazon. It's everywhere. It was in Walmart, every Walmart. And TV series Broke Boys that we started as a web series, and we're actually turn around now to actually have it be a full-fledged TV series, episodic. We've got one whole season complete right now, second season on the way, but we're going to be debuting that to the masses very soon. I co-created the show, and producing, directing, and Heather was involved, and Matthew as well. He's in the show as well. So we kind of have a great team. And when you find your team, when you find your core and people that you work with that you not only enjoy working with, but they have the skill set, the capability, and the acumen needed, and it'd be unwise to stop working with them. So,
I'm Bev Judayi, and I'm from the Wild Rivers Film Festival. Are you new to the film festival? If this is the first that you're hearing about us, we're so glad you're joining us today. The Wild Rivers Film Festival is a celebration of indie and local cinema that happens during the third week of every August in Brookings. Over the course of 4 days, we screen more than 24 films at 3 locations across the city. Many of our film screenings feature Q&A sessions from the visiting filmmakers, and our festival includes daily education panels, VIP parties, and a not-to-be-missed awards ceremony on the final day of the fest. Festival passes are on sale all year at thewildriversfilmfestival.com, and we can't wait to see you at our next festival. I see the camaraderie between you, and that's a trait that I'm hearing more and more from the groups that are here, is the camaraderie that develops from filming alone, but especially when you click so well together and you can kind of finish each other's sentences and you know what somebody wants before they voice it. And you guys obviously have that.
Thank you.
So how is filming a series so different than, I know it has to be different, so different from a feature film?
Our series, we also had no budget. You know, you hear low budget, you hear micro budget, and then there's no budget.
Okay.
We had no budget, but I don't think the creative and the output, what you see on screen, I don't think it was affected. I'm biased, obviously, but Series Fest agreed with us, and Starable Fest agreed, and it seems to have found an audience. We had a test run on YouTube, and it had a lot of success, people connecting with it. And so with series, you have a writer's room, so you spend a lot of time building out the outline of the show, how it's going to play out. You know, ideally you play out the whole series and say, well, we have 5-6 seasons, what are we looking at? And then you kind of work backwards, and you really get to the nitty gritty of every season. You focus in on that. And so we did that, and we have a very talented showrunner who's kind of in charge, piecing everything together. My co-creator on the show, and you know, we essentially, you approach it from a standpoint that they're all individual little movies, and so you work on one episode, another, and you have different directors who come in, you have different cinematographers, some of the same core team, but again, with the no budget, that long end credit roll is a lot quicker. So
Everybody does everything.
yeah,
You'll see the same name for multiple roles.
yeah, it's I mean, I don't know, we all wear tons of hats on that, but same thing, there's a level of camaraderie and enjoyment to be a part of it. I mean, I know with Matthew's scenes, Matthew, I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. We shot all of his scenes in one day. And, you know, so he's changing from one suit to another. He's loosening this tie. He had a scene where he's eating something, so he's eating, taking these. I mean, all in one day. It was like, you know, the full scope of weather. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
Yeah, I think we did it in an afternoon and an evening, right?
Yeah.
It was, but it was, I mean, those things are kind of fun, jumping around and knocking out the scenes. But I think with indie filmmaking, like you say, once you get a group of people you like working with and everybody wears different hats, brings loads of different experience. It's same with the TV show. It's one of those things, it's kind of like Commissioner Gordon calls Batman and goes, hey, we're shooting this and we need you to do that. And you go, okay, yeah, cool, I'll be there in about an hour or whatever. So, yeah, when the call comes, you just go, because making films is hard. And when it's fun, that's, I think, when you jump at it the most. You know, the reward is getting to see people watch it later.
Absolutely. I
definitely put your time in, yeah. So, yeah, when it's fun, as well as, you know that you've got people backing you up in those moments when it's a long day, or maybe your sugar's dropping, or you're not feeling 100%. When people have your back, it changes everything. So,
one of the groups that we interviewed told us that they eat a lot. The eating together. I mean, they just talked about the food like it was almost the movie. It was great.
I think, that's how you.
Yeah,
that's how you grade like a show. Is how good the crafty is, or the meals. Most people get together and they go, you remember that film we did? Yeah, we had the best meals on that. That was fantastic.
I mean, I feel like we were pretty upfront that we said, number one, you're not going to get rich off this project, but we're going to try to take care of everybody in the best way possible, starting with their bellies, you know, and we had a fantastic caterer. She was making 3 meals because with COVID, you know, we were housing everybody. So we provided 3 meals.
On Plight.
On Plight, yes. Yeah. And we, I mean, she also found locations for us. You know, she was wearing multiple hats. She had it was like a bakery, cafe, and we kind of took over. We shot a scene there. And so I think people enjoyed the food. I don't know, Heather, I don't know if you want
No, absolutely. And like you said, it is a key element in keeping people happy. And so if you're not getting paid a lot, like if you're getting fed well, it helps with the morale on the set. So it's important. You can't skimp everywhere.
That's
so
right.
We knew, we're like, okay, we have to provide some good food and keep people fed. And, that definitely helps create a positive experience for everyone. And we were very fortunate to find Christina, our caterer, and she made some amazing meals for us. And so that really helped keep everybody in high spirits. And we didn't, have to deal with any hangry actors. So that's important.
That is important. So when you're in an unusual circumstance like COVID was, it's just, who could have predicted that? But do you have to remind yourselves what the goal is with the film often? Or are you just so into the zone that you move forward automatically?
It's another great question. I'll speak for me and say I didn't need to remind myself, but I was very just gung-ho on the two most important things are you keep everybody safe and you get what you need. You get it in the can. Hopefully all the effort and the preparation has set you up for success, because if you step on foot day one knowing that there will be problems, but that you're hopefully equipped to deal with them, you can make it through. But if you don't, there's something interesting about the universe seems to conspire against every single filmmaker. I mean, you go to these festivals. For me, I would say one of the most enjoyable parts is exchanging film war stories. I say film war stories because I'm not going to compare them to actual war, of course not, but film war stories of just the most ludicrous coincidental things that happen to conspire against you. And it always happens. Mm-hmm. There's never a time where it doesn't. You can be as prepared. Big budget films deal with it. But having the fortitude, the perseverance to say, you know what, this is par for the course. We're going to push through. And then, of course, safety. You have to make sure that everybody's safe dealing with COVID, but everything, we had stunts and having the proper people with stunts. We have action scenes. We have, making sure we have safety meetings before, like all these things. These are not corners that you can cut, regardless of any budget level. So making sure that you're mindful of that and appreciative of that. And then again, having the intestinal fortitude to just deal with everything that comes
right.
Place. So I don't know if you guys want to comment on that.
No, and this is where, the team aspect is very important in putting the people in the right roles, because each person, is focused on a certain element or aspect of the film that is so important. And because one person can't focus on everything. So we need everybody to, make sure that they're at the top of their game and thinking about what their role is, with having our first AD, their main thing is safety. And not everybody can be thinking about that constantly, but the AD, that is top priority for them. And then just coming together basically before set every day. And we talk through, okay, what does the day look like? What are the goals of today? And then as things come up, as they always do, as MJ said, being able to come together and adjust and pivot. And because we have worked together before, there is a trust that is built. And I think that's why we continue to work with each other, because that's such an important element in this environment, is to be able to trust that this person in this role has got your back and they know what they're doing, and you trust, so that you, as a producer especially, you have these people in all of these roles. You can't micromanage them. You can't be standing over their shoulder all the time. So you have to put your trust that they're going to, do their job and do their job well. So this is why when you find your team, you keep working together.
Yeah, because filmmaking is essentially problem solving, right? It's kind of the key thing to it. But yeah, when you have ideas and you're in an environment where people are open to those ideas, it's good. With that, like with the whole Kansas thing, I used to be a location manager, and we had the problem with COVID, and it was a hard sell, which I understood. But I was like, hey, there's this place in Kansas that might be good for the film. And people are like, Kansas? What are you talking about, Kansas? But it was kind of, once we got there, those wheels started turning, and
one thing led to another.
One thing led to another, and it's always good to, especially as an actor, but even as a friend working, collaborating, it's good to see your director smile. So,
absolutely.
When Kansas did bring a smile to MJ's face, it was very relieving and also gratifying.
That little bit of encouragement there, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, because that wasn't the original plan. I mean, to film in Kansas. So, like Matthew said, it was a hard sell going in. You know, we had to convince him to even go to look at the location. We're like, let's just go.
Once we were there, I knew it.
He was sold right away. I mean, we got there and at the first location when we filmed majority of the film, and he was just like, oh, we have to film here. So again, like our lead actor, you know, becoming a locations manager for us. So
right, jack of all trades.
Exactly.
Well, it sounds like you guys had a good time filming this, and you also are phenomenal at what each of you do, and everyone contributed so much. I hope that the Wild Rivers Film Festival adds to your successes, and that we see you again at other festivals with all of your work that's in progress.
Thank you. Yeah, I will say we have another feature that has just started its festival run. That's a feature I was a producer on. It's called Piggy Duster, and so we are probably going to be coming through town with that, and it's another one to look out for. And so we've got projects in the can. We have projects in development, and you know, those that are about to be released to public. So.
Well, we're going to enjoy watching you along the way. Well, thank you all very much for the interview and the camaraderie I got to share with each of you during this interview. Thank you very much, and we're glad you're at the festival.
Thank
really
you.
Glad.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode of Wild Rivers Film Radio. If you want to learn more about the festival, buy passes, volunteer for us, or even sign up for a sponsorship, you can learn more and get connected at thewildriversfilmfestival.com. You can also find the festival on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, Tom and KCIW, for providing the radio station for this event for us. And thank you, Kat Liddell, for all your edits. We appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.